Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to Utility Sports. This is the place you want to be subscribed to for future coverage of all things sports. We cover the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, the MLB, and NCAA athletics as well. We cover it all here. And in this video, we're coming at you with another 2021 NBA mock draft. And we're going to be doing another lottery simulation in this one. This has been a lot of fun going through these videos, looking at some possible outcomes with the lottery. Of course, the lottery is June 22nd, so that'll be a key thing to watch for. That'll really shape up the draft process. There's going to be a lot of things that you guys don't want to miss. So make sure you're subscribed here. It just takes 1 second of your time for you to not miss out on anything utility sports related. We're right around 3,000 subscribers. The support has been incredible. We really appreciate you guys. Also, take one quick second, hit that like button. And in this video, I also want you to comment, who is your favorite prospect in this year's class? It doesn't necessarily have to be the one you think's the best, just your favorite one in general. For example, one of mine would be Johnny Juzang. I really like what he brings to the table. There's a few other guys I really like in this class. Cade Cunningham, of course, he's probably the top one. And now let's jump into the lottery simulation portion. We are using Tankathon. That has been suggested to us in the comments, so thank you so much for commenting that. And taking a look at it quick here, here are the top 14 teams: Houston, Detroit, Orlando, Oklahoma City, and so on down all the way to Golden State here at 14. And here's the odds of each team having a top 4 pick. Houston, 52.1% chance. That's really big because if it's 5th overall, it goes to Oklahoma City. We saw that in the last mock draft simulation. There's a real potential that Oklahoma City ends up with 2 top 5 picks. So let's go ahead and run this lottery right now. Cleveland moves up 4 spots to the number 1 overall pick. They had a 45% chance to land in the top 4 and an 11.5% chance to grab number 1. They get it here. Detroit sticks at 2. Orlando sticks at 3. Houston falls all the way down to 4. Oklahoma City drops 1 spot to 5, and we see the rest of these teams here stay put. This is exactly how the lottery should work. The lottery is done for the top 4 picks in the draft, and if you don't get it, that's when you move down if you're supposed to be a top 4 team. We see that with Oklahoma City. So Cleveland, the big winner in today's mock draft simulator, and they've got a lot of question marks around Colin Sexton, so that'll make this mock draft video quite a bit of fun, thinking about some of the possible scenarios from this lottery. Again, guys, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and now we're going to jump into the mock draft portion of the video. All right, everyone, and now here we are with the actual mock draft portion of today's video. Again, if you are enjoying this content, hit that like button. Also, subscribe if you are new. Hoping we're at 3,000 subscribers by the time you're at this point in the video. It'd be absolutely awesome if you could help us get there if we're not. And maybe let's push for 3,100 already. We're going to have a 3,000 subscriber special video coming out sometime soon as well, so that's going to be something you want to be a part of. Have some jersey giveaways coming out on the channel as well for our subscribers. Comment on today's video too. Again, let me know who your favorite player was, and also let me know who your favorite pick from this draft was. So let's jump into the new number 1 overall pick. That is the Cleveland Cavaliers after our mock draft lottery simulation here. And they're going to go with guard Cade Cunningham. This is the perfect situation for Cleveland because Colin Sexton's already on the hot seat. He's probably going to get traded at some point here soon. I don't think the Cavaliers are going to want to commit to him, giving him a big extension. Based off of his numbers, he deserves that, but they just haven't done any winning. I think a fresh scenario for Colin Sexton does make a lot of sense, and I think the Cavaliers look at Cade Cunningham as a surefire upgrade on day 1 at that point guard position. You're looking at a very solid backcourt now with Cade Cunningham and Darius Garland. Garland, of course, can be that shooter, floor spacer. Cade Cunningham did very well at Oklahoma State this year, though, in that role as well. Shot 40% from 3. Is a selfless star. I really love this kid's makeup, the way that he plays the game. Always under control, plays at his own pace. He's going to get some comparisons to Luka Doncic with the way that he handles the ball, the way he plays his game at his pace. Now, he's not the most athletic player in this class. He's not going to have the quickest first step. But at the end of the day, I think he's the most well-rounded player. A 6'7" point guard with real guard skills, can handle the rock, is a willing passer, makes the right play consistently. I think he has some room to grow as a facilitator, but I think with proper coaching, he can get there. Cleveland gets a really good one here, moving up to pick number 1 in the draft. Now sliding into pick number 2 is the Detroit Pistons. They were projected the 2nd pick and ended up staying put there. Of course, a little bummed they didn't jump up to number 1, Detroit Pistons fans. However, you're going to go and get a very, very good big man here in Evan Mobley. Troy Weaver has reportedly got his eyes on Evan Mobley during this draft process. He's going to want to add in some front court help. Obviously, you guys got Isaiah Stewart, also brought in Plumlee during the offseason last year. Jeremy Grant also is in that front court. However, I think it's obvious you guys still need a little bit more help in that area. You still need some backcourt help as well. I'm not saying that your backcourt is filled out, but I think Evan Mobley would be the selection here based off the rumors that Troy Weaver absolutely loves this kid, and there's a lot to love about this kid. Averaged 3 blocks a game this past year for USC, is going to be a stalwart on the defensive end of the floor. Think about Bam Adebayo a little bit with the versatility as well. Evan Mobley offers a real 7 foot frame, really good wingspan, but has quick feet, able to switch directions quickly, and offers a little bit on the offensive end as well. Is going to be a quality pick and roll man. Also has some potential to develop as a face-up 5 in this game. Work out of the low block area as well with his back to the basket. I think he's got it all, and I think the Pistons here get a really good player with the 2nd overall pick. Now moving into the 3rd overall selection here, we have the Orlando Magic. And it was very, very important that they stayed in the top 3 in this year's draft just based off some of their needs. In the last mock draft simulation for the lottery, they fell all the way down to 6. That really hurts their chances of getting this rebuild going in the right direction. They badly need some offensive help. Orlando Magic fans, I know that you guys think that as well. And they're going to get it here with guard Jalen Green. This kid can absolutely score the ball. Very, very athletic. I think he's a perfect fit into that backcourt with Markelle Fultz. Also is going to complement RJ Hampton and Cole Anthony very well. This kid can play off the ball, is going to be an elite lob threat on day one in the NBA. Very, very athletic, going to score a lot in transition. This Orlando Magic team is going to look to get stops on the defensive end and push out in transition with Markelle Fultz, Jalen Green, 2 of the more athletic guards in the NBA. Jalen Green, Orlando Magic fans, you guys are going to grow to love this kid. Has a lot of potential as a shot creator and as a slasher in the NBA. I think that he's got some room to grow as a facilitator. I think he also needs to develop his left hand a little bit more when scoring around the rim. But those are things that'll come. Young players tend to struggle a little bit more with those areas. But when you can add in a scorer like this, Orlando, you have to pull the trigger here. Jalen Green out of G League Ignite was their leading scorer. This is perfect. He could easily be the leading scorer in Orlando year 1 and could be a favorite for Rookie of the Year. Now at pick 4, we got the Houston Rockets, and remember, they were a team that also slid in the lottery last simulation. Here they slide again, but only to 4, which is key because it keeps them in the top 4 picks, which is where their pick is projected, or is protected rather. And they're going to go with forward Jonathan Kuminga here. A little bit of a switch up of what our top 5 has looked like in terms of the ordering. Here they go with Jonathan Kuminga because of his 2-way potential on the wing. I think that they're looking at Kevin Porter Jr. being maybe their lead ball handler for a little while. Jonathan Kuminga has real 2-way potential, 6'8" frame, 7'2" wingspan, is going to get stops, but also displayed a lot of talent for G League Ignite in the 13 games he did play there. Now struggled a little bit with efficiency, but he showed a lot of traits that really passed the eye test for me. He's someone who can handle the rock as a 6'8" forward, someone who has very good passing feel, even with his back to the basket. You can put him in a variety of different situations offensively. I think the Rockets badly need someone who gives them a little bit more versatility. Jae'Sean Tate was a very nice player for them when he came over from the NBL. Played very, very well this past year for Houston. Is going to probably finish top 5 in Rookie of the Year voting. However, I think that they need someone else on that wing yet. Jae'Sean Tate's a nice complementary piece, but you're looking at Kuminga, Kevin Porter Jr., Christian Wood becoming the build-around pieces for this Rockets roster. Now, the Oklahoma City Thunder here at pick 5. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander badly needs someone else there to help him, and luckily for him, guard Jalen Suggs falls. He needs someone else in that backcourt who can create for not only themselves, but for others and for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Jalen Suggs does all of that. He did it all year long with Gonzaga, creating for guys like Corey Kispert, Drew Timme, and really fueled that team to a national championship appearance. Of course, they did come up just short to Baylor in that game. However, there's a lot to build off of for Jalen Suggs. Very, very, very good on the defensive end of the floor. Great off-ball defender, but also a very good on-ball defender. Has quick feet, quick hands. He's going to do a lot of different things on the defensive end of the floor, and that's not even his greatest strength. He's a very, very dynamic combo guard, both in the half court and in transition. He's going to help this Oklahoma City Thunder team get out and run, get some easier baskets. but he's also going to help them in the half court as a creator, facilitator, and also someone who can manipulate a pick and roll a little bit better than what they've got outside of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think that he comes in as a starter day one for this Oklahoma City Thunder team, and you're looking at a very, very good, young, dynamic combo backcourt of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Suggs for the future. OKC Thunder fans, if you don't land a top 2 pick in this draft, Jalen Suggs is still going to be a phenomenal player for you guys. I hope to see him in Oklahoma City. I think this is the best fit for him as well. Long term, I think that Suggs and Shai are going to go on a tear together if they end up playing on the same team. Now at 6, we got the Golden State Warriors, who, remember, they lost their first pick last year, last simulation as well, as the Minnesota Timberwolves moved up. So Warriors fans, you got to be happy here to be picking 6 again. And at this point, they're going to go with guard Davion Mitchell, which maybe is a little bit of a surprise to you Warriors fans. But let me explain why Davion Mitchell should be the obvious pick here for the Golden State Warriors. He's hands down the best defensive player in this class, and he's going to be a very, very good backup point guard on day one. The Warriors badly miss Sean Livingston. There's no question about that. And they badly miss guys like Andre Iguodala and Harrison Barnes, who brought in some defensive mentality there. The Warriors need more help on defense, especially against ball handlers, and they also need backup guard play offensively. Davion Mitchell is going to bring you both at the highest level. He's a better player at this point than guys like Scotty Barnes. Maybe his potential isn't as high, but you're looking at someone who's going to be a day one stopper. You could put him in the lineup with Curry and Clay, or you could play him off the bench himself. I think Davion Mitchell is a very underrated player throughout this process. When you have the chance to draft easily the best defensive player, especially a perimeter defender in this class, Davion Mitchell is the no-brainer pick here for Golden State. I love what he brings, and I think the Warriors would be very lucky to grab him 6th overall. Jumping into pick 7 now, we have the Toronto Raptors here. We have a lot of Raptors fans that watch our videos, so hopefully you guys do enjoy who we mock here, and that is forward Scotty Barnes out of Florida State. I just mentioned him in the aforementioned pick with the Warriors, but Scotty Barnes, I really like what this kid brings on both ends of the floor. I think that he's got some potential to handle the rock offensively as a two-way machine. I think he fits well into this Raptors roster. Now, of course, you guys do need a big man. There's no question about that. But staying at pick 7, there's just not a big man worth taking this early, in my opinion, for you guys. I don't think there's someone here that's going to right the wrongs immediately. Raptors fans, you're going to have to look at other ways to acquire a center. Scotty Barnes going to be a great option at the end of the day for the Raptors. He can play a variety of positions. He's going to be versatile on the defensive end. He's 6'9", offers great length. A little bit like Jonathan Kuminga, doesn't have the offensive potential in my opinion. That's why he slides a little bit lower than Kuminga. But defensively, this kid's going to be phenomenal. Raptors fans, you got to be excited about the young core you're building. OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Fred VanVleet. You're also looking at Gary Trent Jr., who I think was an absolute steal for you guys at the trade deadline. I love what he has. Chris Boucher, if he could pick up his stamina a little bit, he'd be a phenomenal starter for you guys. You're looking at a very nice young core. It's just about finding a long-term anchor center on the defensive end of the floor and maybe one more shot creator in the half court then. At this point, the Raptors, you got to be extremely happy with who you have. Pick number 8 now, the Orlando Magic here on the clock yet again. This pick comes from the Chicago Bulls and the Nikola Vucevic trade. So there's a lot to unpack here. Of course, the Magic earlier on went with Jalen Green, the guard out of G League Ignite, and here they're going with forward Jalen Johnson. So you're doubling down on the Jalens. And this one I really, really love. I talked about the Magic needing a little bit more scoring help. Jalen Johnson, someone who can do that for you. He brings real athleticism. I see him being able to play the 4 right away. You know, probably liken him to Aaron Gordon, which maybe is not what Magic fans want to hear. But you're getting a cheaper, younger Aaron Gordon on a rookie-level deal. He's going to fit longer into your timeline. He's athletic, can take the ball off the dribble. Was playing very well for Duke before he opted out, played his high school ball at IMG Academy. I think that Jalen Johnson's an underrated player in this process. I could see him going anywhere from pick 6 all the way down to pick 20. There's a wide range where Jalen Johnson could possibly go. Maybe Orlando, you trade down from pick 8, try and grab Jalen Johnson later. But at the end of the day, he's a good player. He fits well with Jalen Green. He fits well next to Jonathan Isaac. And this roster you've already got assembled. You have 2 young bigs in Mo Bamba and Wendell Carter Jr. I think Jalen Johnson, a very good fit into this Orlando Magic roster. Maybe a little high to grab him at 8, but at the end of the day, a good player and a great fit in Orlando. Pick number 9, now we have the Sacramento Kings here on the clock, and they're going to go ahead and take forward Franz Wagner out of Michigan. There's a lot of divide on this kid. Some people see him as a for sure lottery pick. Others don't see him as a top 20 guy. There's a little bit of a divide there. I think someone like Zaire Williams is a little bit better. I think translates a little bit better to the NBA than Franz Wagner, but I can see the Kings looking at Franz Wagner here to bring some toughness, to bring some winning attitude into that locker room. They badly need that. Luke Walton's really on the hot seat. If he doesn't make the playoffs this next year, I'd be surprised if he's back as the Kings head coach, and I'd be surprised if he gets another head coaching gig in general. Just hasn't found success as a head coach in the NBA yet. And I just don't think that he's going to continue being the head coach there in Sacramento. Franz Wagner is going to try, come in, help them win games, help them turn around that culture. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure if it's enough to save Luke Walton's job. Pick number 10 now, we have the New Orleans Pelicans here on the clock, and they're going to go ahead and opt with guard Moses Moody out of Arizona. I really like what this kid can do. Shot 36% from three this past year, but those were on a lot of difficult looks that he was creating for himself. If he goes into New Orleans, spots up a little bit more often, playing next to other guards like Kyra Lewis, possibly Lonzo Ball if he's back. Of course, Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram going to take a lot of that half-court pressure off of Moses Moody as well. This Pelicans team is going to be a lot better. They badly need to add floor spacing. Look for them in free agency to try and find ways to bring in more shooting, especially if they lose Lonzo Ball, who shot over 40% from three this year. Pelicans need floor spacers. Moses Moody, one of the best in the class at doing just that. Pick number 11, now we have the Charlotte Hornets here. And this was an interesting spot for me. I really looked at center, but they drafted Vernon Carey, Nick Richards last year in the second round each. I think that they maybe like those two kids. They both played pretty well in the G League. I think the Hornets maybe are set on their center position, at least for the short-term future, and instead are going to go high upside. They take guard Josh Giddey out of the NBL. They're going to double down on the NBL picks because LaMelo Ball has worked out so well for them. You're looking at the possible rookie of the year this year, getting now complemented with another 6'7", 6'8" point guard in Josh Giddey. He's got similar characteristics to LaMelo Ball. Now, I'm understanding this isn't necessarily the best fit for Giddey. This isn't necessarily the best fit for the Hornets, but with some of the wing scorers off the board at this point, they have to look at someone who's going to be a high-impact guy, and I think Josh Giddey is that. Maybe this allows you to let Devontae Graham go in a sign-and trade, try and bring in a wing that way. They've also got cap space this offseason where they could address the wing. I think Josh Giddey comes in and replaces Devontae Graham. They maybe spend some money instead in free agency on a wing scorer, someone who can help them in a variety of different ways on offense. They also need to bring in some defensive help. I'm not denying that either. But Josh Giddey at this point, I think he's the best player on the board. I think the Hornets, with their history of drafting from the NBL last year, should look that way again. I think Josh Giddey, a phenomenal grab here at this point, pick 11. Pick number 12, we have the San Antonio Spurs now on the clock. They're an interesting team at this point. Going to be a complete makeover for this team. Of course, LaMarcus Aldridge already found his way out before his retirement. DeMar DeRozan probably won't be back. Rudy Gay probably won't be back. Patty Mills very likely could be gone. Those are four players from their original 9-10 man rotation. That's going to be a different team next year, and I think that they're going to look at Kai Jones coming in out of the University of Texas. You can see the length and athleticism that this kid provides. He's going to be key for the San Antonio Spurs. I think they need someone to come in off the bench behind Jakob Poeltl. I just don't think Drew Eubanks is getting it done consistently enough. I think that they're going to look for some more size and athleticism. Kai Jones brings that to San Antonio. I know some Spurs fans really want to see Kai Jones there. Usman Garuba is another guy I thought about here, but Kai Jones ends up going 12th overall to San Antonio, stays in the state of Texas. I like this fit a lot. You're looking at a team that's athletic, young. You add a little bit more of that as well. In free agency, they're going to have to find some shooting, no question about that. But I think Kai Jones at 12 does make a lot of sense. Pick 13, now we have the Indiana Pacers here on the clock. They are in a state of flux at this point. Indiana Pacers fans, you got some question marks at this point. Nate Bjorkgren's out as head coach, so there's going to be a whole new head coach coming in. Of course, you guys are really missing McMillan, who's been key for the Atlanta Hawks. And also the Pacers badly need to find a few ways to tweak this roster. TJ Warren, he was out this year with an injury. I think that once he's back, they're a better team for sure. Malcolm Brogdon, I'm not sure about his long-term future. So they're going to go best player available at this point. Someone who's slid a little bit, that's guard Keon Johnson. It's hard for me to find a fit for him between picks 8 and 12, honestly, with some of the teams that are there that have guard play at the level that they already do. I think Keon Johnson would be a phenomenal fit in Indiana. Someone who can get to the rim. Now, he struggles as a shooter, but I think that they need a little bit more dynamism in their offense. Someone who can handle in the pick and roll, can play as a combo guard, does a few different things. Also going to be a very, very athletic defender. I think Indiana needs more athleticism. I think they need a little bit more slashing ability on this roster. And Keon Johnson going to do great in both those things. I think I could see him really functioning well as a cutter off ball as well when Domantas Sabonis has it. Sabonis such an underrated passer in the NBA at this point. I think Keon Johnson would be a great complementary fit for him in the half court. Pick number 14, now we have the second Golden State Warriors pick here in the lottery. And at this point, they're going to go with forward Corey Kispert. Of course, earlier they grabbed Davion Mitchell. Now they grab Corey Kispert. They grab 2 players from the national championship game. It's all about winning in Golden State, and they're adding 2 players that are really, really going to help them do that. Kispert going to be an elite floor spacer. Jordan Poole really emerged this past year as well. You're looking at a filled-out rotation where you have Steph Curry, of course, Andrew Wiggins, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, James Wiseman, and then off the bench, you're coming out with Davion Mitchell, also having Kevon Looney at center, Corey Kispert, and Jordan Poole. That is a deep 9-man rotation that is going to be ready to ball out. You're adding in 2 guys who are NBA-ready players, maybe not the highest upside for either of them, but are going to be key contributors immediately on day one. It's all going to be about if James Wiseman can take that step forward in year 2 for Golden State as a rim protector and rim runner. And I think he can, and I think Golden State's going to be one of those teams to watch for title contention. I'm serious about that with how good Steph Curry is and how good Klay Thompson is. If he's back healthy, this Warriors team has enough infrastructure to win it all as long as they are playing well. And I think it's very, very possible that we could see them near the finals next season. Pick 15, now we have the Washington Wizards, who went on a great run to end the year. However, just did not get any traction in the playoffs. Got demolished by the Philadelphia 76ers in 5 games. Of course, did play very well in that Game 4 win that they had, but just too much power from Philadelphia for the Wizards to compete. But here they're going to go with guard James Bouknight. I think that they need someone else in that backcourt who's going to be a complementary piece off the bench early on for Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. And he also gives them a little bit of versatility in case either Bradley Beal asks out at some point, or if Russell Westbrook does not finish his career there in Washington. James Bouknight, a very nice player. I don't think he has an elite skill coming into the NBA, but I think he's going to be quality in a lot of different ways. I also really think Washington's going to need Deni Avdija to really step up in a lot of different ways. I love what Avdija can bring to the floor. I just don't think he really got enough run, got enough usage the way that he needs to in year 1 of his career. Bouknight, Deni Avdija, 2 players to watch for the future for Washington. Pick number 16, now we have the Boston Celtics here on the clock at this point. And they're going to go with center/forward Alperen Şengün, who I absolutely love. This kid has such good half-court potential on the offensive end of the floor. He's 6'11". He's got real footwork skills. This kid is going to be able to score out of the low block, something that Boston badly needs. They've been looking for that in a variety of ways. They tried out Enes Kanter for a few years. They brought in Tristan Thompson this year. They just need someone else who's going to help take some pressure off of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And I think Alperen Şengün is going to do just that. But not only does he help take off some half-court scoring pressure, but he can also space the floor for them. He's going to leave the lane open for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. He can do a lot of different things, also has good feel for the offense. He can really pass the ball. Kind of reminds me of Al Horford a little bit, what you're going to get from Alperen Şengün. I think that this is perfect for Boston. I think they've been badly missing that center presence like Al Horford. And now Alperen Şengün is going to be the long-term center option for the Boston Celtics in Brad Stevens' first draft as president of basketball operations. Pick number 17 here, we have the Memphis Grizzlies on the clock. And they're an interesting team. At this point, I think that this is a very good grab for them. Zaire Williams out of Stanford. He is a very intriguing player to me because of his ability to impact the game in so many different ways. He's athletic, can rebound the basketball, but also has very good feel for the game. He's going to get a ton of assists in the NBA. And I also see him as a guy who can put the ball in the hole pretty consistently, also can get out and run in transition. I think he's going to be a fun, dynamic player to watch early on in his career, and I think it's a perfect fit in Memphis. You're looking at a team that has some traditional bigs. Now you bring in someone who maybe plays the 4 with a little bit more skill than we're used to seeing at the 4-man position. He reminds me of a young Nicholas Batum with the way that he's able to handle the rock, pass the ball. He's going to be a triple-double machine, probably going to end up having 30, 40 career triple-doubles. I feel very confident in saying that. He already had a few with Stanford, and I think coming into Memphis could give them a little bit of a dynamic that they need. Reminds me a little bit of Kyle Anderson too, with a little bit more athleticism, a little bit more speed, but just plays the game the right way, and I think Memphis is looking for players that do that all the time. Zaire Williams, a great pick here for the Grizzlies. Pick 18, now we have the Oklahoma City Thunder here on the clock. This pick, of course, comes from Miami with the swap rights from Houston. If Houston's pick falls to 5, this would actually be the Rockets' selection at 18. However, it is the Thunder's pick here at 18 now, and they're going to go with forward Johnny Juzang out of UCLA. I love this kid. 3-level scorer, and I think with them already grabbing Jalen Suggs, now it's important for them to find some guys who can really put the ball in the hole and can shoot it. Oklahoma City, they've struggled in years past to draft at the small forward position. Outside of Kevin Durant, you're looking at some real misses. Hamidou Diallo was a missed pick. You're looking at Terrence Ferguson, not really paying off. They've really opted for athleticism in a lot of different ways Sam Presti has. So looking at his draft history, it's very possible we would see someone like Greg Brown get drafted here. However, I think Johnny Juzang makes more sense. He's a consistent scorer, really led that UCLA team in their March Madness run, and I think he'd be great to add next to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and also Jalen Suggs. You've already got Lou Dort there. I just think you need a little bit more scoring help, and Johnny Juzang's going to do that for Oklahoma City. Pick number 19 now, we have the New York Knicks here on the clock, and they're going to go with center/forward Usman Garuba out of Spain, playing for Real Madrid in the U18 league. Very fun player to watch, and I think he's a phenomenal fit into what Tom Thibodeau likes to do defensively. Nerlens Noel played so well this year that maybe he has a real market in free agency. They're going to have to look for someone who brings similar athleticism, and Garuba can really jump. This kid averages a ton of blocks per game. I think he would be a phenomenal Swiss Army knife for Tom Thibodeau on the defensive end of the floor. He's going to be able to guard positions 3 through 5 early on in his career, and maybe there's potential to even be able to guard some shooting guards. And rarely you could maybe have him switch out onto a point guard. He's got that type of athleticism, really good makeup, vertical makeup speed as well. When beat off the dribble, he's going to pin a lot of shots off the backboard. He has to grow offensively. He's not ready quite yet on the offensive end, but Julius Randle takes so much of the pressure off other players there in New York that I think Garuba comes in as a rim runner. I know they already have Obi Toppin. I know that they have Mitchell Robinson, but I think that one more guy into their front court also gives them a little bit of leeway with the Mitchell Robinson contract extension talks that are going to be coming up. He's going to be entering the final year of his contract after they take up that team option. So Garuba gives them long-term potential, long-term stability at that center/4-man position. Pick 20 now, we have the Atlanta Hawks here on the clock, and they're going to go with guard Jaden Springer, who's slid just a little bit. Some people see him as an end-of-the-lottery potential type player. I see him more in the range of 15 through 20. I think Jaden Springer here for Atlanta is a very good grab. I think that they need someone who can take a little bit more pressure off Trae Young. We're seeing in the playoffs how much this team has to use Trae Young to get their offense going. I think Jaden Springer is going to be a nice option off the bench to score the ball for them. There's a few other players that I thought Atlanta could look at here, but Jaden Springer, I think, has a really good blend of potential and NBA readiness where he's going to be able to help Atlanta now and also for the long term as they continue to push toward their window. Pick 21 now, we have the New York Knicks. This pick comes from the Dallas Mavericks. This will be the only player on their roster at this point from the Kristaps Porzingis trade. So it's key that they hit here, and I think that they're getting a pretty good one with Sharif Cooper. Watching the Knicks series, watching how they played against the Atlanta Hawks, it was clear to me they needed some help, especially at the guard position. They need someone who can create for others, and Sharif Cooper does that better than most people in this class, to be honest with you. He's got elite playmaking abilities. Now, I question his ability to score in the half court a little bit. I think he settles, takes some bad shots. But at the end of the day, the Knicks, already having grabbed someone who's going to be a defensive-minded big for them, come back, grab a little bit of a smaller player, 6'2", maybe a little undersized at 160 pounds, but he can really pass the ball. He's going to handle it in the pick and roll. He's going to take pressure off Julius Randle, especially come playoff time if the Knicks are back there next year. it's going to be very vital that they end up running some of their offense through Sharif Cooper. I think he's got that type of potential as a half-court creator for others. He goes 21st overall to the New York Knicks. Pick 22 now, the Los Angeles Lakers here on the clock at this point. They're going to go with guard Jared Butler, the second Baylor Bear we've had go in the first round of this draft, and he's a dynamic guard who can defend multiple positions, is all about winning, and he's going to work his tail off for this Lakers team. Kind of reminds me of Talen Horton-Tucker a little bit, not quite the length, not quite the athleticism. That's why he goes 22nd overall here, but I think he's got some good upside. The Lakers in an interesting spot. Dennis Schroeder might not be back with the Lakers. Magic Johnson said that he didn't see Dennis Schroeder as a Laker, which is obviously a very, very strong take. So the Lakers may be looking to fill out their backcourt a little bit more. I think Jared Butler, a phenomenal option for them at this point of the draft. Pick 23 now, we have the Houston Rockets here on the clock. This pick comes from Portland in the Robert Covington trade, and they're going to go ahead and opt for guard Cam Thomas out of LSU. He's fallen a little bit further than he does in most of our mock drafts here at Utility Sports, and I love what this kid brings. He was the SEC Freshman of the Year, led the SEC in scoring as a freshman, and was absolutely lights out. Did a lot for them in the tourney as well. Also in the SEC championship game, played his butt off. I think this kid can really score the ball. I think that he's going to be a great option in the backcourt for Houston coming off the bench early. When Kevin Porter Jr. comes out of the game, Cam Thomas is going to have to come in, give them some buckets, give them some shot creation potential, and I really think that's what he does best. I think grabbing him at 23 is an absolute steal. He's going to have a long NBA career, and he's going to score a lot of points as a sixth man, in my opinion. I see that kind of being the career track for him, and I really, really love it for the Houston Rockets. And talking about the Houston Rockets, we're staying here again. This pick comes from Milwaukee in the PJ Tucker trade here now at this point. And they're going to go ahead and grab center Isaiah Jackson out of Kentucky. I mocked him in the last one as well. I think that he's a great grab for Houston here. And Houston's done a phenomenal job in this mock draft. You went and grabbed Jonathan Kuminga, a forward, grab Cam Thomas, a guard, and now you come back and grab one of the better centers in this year's class in Isaiah Jackson, who can really, really protect the rim and also rebound the basketball. That's what Houston badly needs out of their backup center position. When Christian Wood's out of the game, the Houston Rockets are terrible at this point. Isaiah Jackson is going to really fill that hole for Steven Silas' squad. Also going to be pretty good in that style of offense as Silas likes to run coming from Dallas, running heavy pick and roll offensive sets. I think Isaiah Jackson could even coexist with Christian Wood on occasion, however, not very often. I think Isaiah Jackson, a very good grab at 24. The Houston Rockets have to be looked at as a pretty big winner from this mock draft, even though their pick fell from pick 1 all the way down to pick 4. Pick 25 now, we have the Los Angeles Clippers here, and at this point, they're looking for someone who can help them in the backcourt, and that's guard Nahshon Bones Highland out of VCU. This kid can absolutely shoot the lights out of the gym. He's a sophomore guard coming from Virginia Commonwealth University, and I think that this kid is going to be a great fit into LA and what they're trying to do there. They love shooting. They led the NBA in three-point shooting this past year, and they're looking for a little bit more of it, especially in that backcourt. Patrick Beverley getting DNP CDs in the playoffs, not something we expected going into the year. Rajon Rondo only has 1 year left on his deal after this playoff run, and I think it's all about finding guys who can handle the rock and shoot it. For the Los Angeles Clippers, and Highland can do that very, very well at this level of the draft. I think he's going to be a great grab for the Los Angeles Clippers, give them a little bit more floor spacing around Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and I think he comes in and is an immediate contributor for the Clippers. Pick 26 now, the Denver Nuggets are not going to be looking for an immediate contributor, but are rather going to opt for some real big-time potential here, and that's forward Greg Brown out of the University of Texas. This kid has elite athleticism. The way that Aaron Gordon has thrived there in Denver, I think that they could see Greg Brown doing a lot of those same things for the Nuggets long term. Playing off of Nikola Jokic, I think it's obvious that the Nuggets need a little bit more athleticism, need a little bit more two-way potential, and Greg Brown really does provide that. Now, he struggled with efficiency, took a lot of tough, questionable shots for the Texas Longhorns this past year, but I think if he gets into a system where they have a really build-around player, someone who's going to make life easy for him, it's going to be a different show there in Denver. Greg Brown going to be a much more efficient player playing off the ball and getting utilized as a cutter, someone who can drive off the perimeter, also gives them a little bit more help in transition offense. I think Greg Brown, a phenomenal grab for Denver at 26. Pick 27 now, the Brooklyn Nets here on the clock, and they're going to go ahead and grab Ayo Dosunmu out of Illinois. This kid has fallen just a little bit. I know some people look at him as a top 20 pick. For me, I just really question what his elite trait is in the NBA. I think he's just an all-around player. He's going to help a contender win games. He's going to play meaningful minutes at certain points, but I just don't know if he's a build-around guy, and I think that's why he slides a little bit. A lot of those teams picking from 1 through 18, 1 through 20 are still looking for guys who have high potential. Ayo Dosunmu, it just isn't that for me, but the Nets grab him here at 27. I think he comes in, fits perfectly as a replacement for Spencer Dinwiddie, and I think the Nets very happy to grab someone who's going to be all about winning in year one of his career. Pick 28 now, we have the Philadelphia 76ers here on the clock, and they're going to opt for center/forward Roko Prkačin out of Croatia. This kid has a lot of potential. He's not going to be ready day one, but the 76ers don't need him to be. They're a very, very well-built team, and this is all about potential here. He can step away from the basket, shoot the three ball, also can handle it. We've seen him hit a few step-back threes as well at this point in his career. There was the MVP of the U18 League in Croatia, and I think this kid's going to be a phenomenal young player down the road if you give him some time to develop, and the 76ers have nothing but time. Trust the process one more time here, Philly. Take Roko Prkačin and let him develop a little bit. You don't badly need him at this point. Your team is very well-rounded. You've got big-time money already spent on your key players. So just wait a little bit and let Roko Prkačin come into his own, and I think down the road he could be a great fit. Still in Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons' window for winning championships. Pick 29, the Phoenix Suns here now on the clock, and at this point they're going to look at guard Tre Mann out of the University of Florida. This kid can score the ball, and I think he's going to be a very nice backup guard on day one of his career. Campaign's played great this year. There's no denying that. Phoenix up 2-0 at the point I'm recording this over the Denver Nuggets in round 2 of the playoffs. They've been great. Phoenix has been clicking on all cylinders, but I think if they could bring in someone else who could really score the basketball, maybe at a more consistent rate than what Campaign does, and a little bit more of a consistent three-point shooter than Campaign, you're looking at a much better team, and I think Tre Mann long-term gives you that, and they also get some contract negotiation status over Campaign as well, saying, hey, we're going to just draft a guard. We don't necessarily need to bring you back, but we want you back. Maybe you get him back on a little bit of a cheaper deal, a little bit more team-friendly in that way. And now the ultimate pick of this mock draft. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Again, hit that like button if you did. We got the Utah Jazz here. They've been playing very well. Took game 1 against the Los Angeles Clippers despite a 13-point deficit at halftime. And here they're going to go with guard Daishen Nix, who I really, really love. He's an NBA-ready point guard. He's got good feel for the game, can handle the ball well. He's a very big frame as well, 6'5", probably about 220 pounds at point guard. That is a unique position for a guard to be coming into the draft, but now it doesn't have the most athleticism, isn't the quickest player, isn't going to be phenomenal on defense. But Utah, they're going to have to look for a way to replace Mike Conley if he leaves in free agency. I think Daishen Nix comes in as a backup point guard, and Utah probably transitions to Donovan Mitchell, playing more of that true point guard position for them. Let me know in the comments who your favorite pick in this draft was in this mock draft. Let me know who your least favorite pick I made in this first round was. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, criticisms, all that. So leave them down in the comment section below. Thanks again, guys, so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the very next video.